All right, it's counting down.
Sorry if you hear Riley in the background. She's in the basement.
Oh,
That's all right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the insanity that is Racers News Network Live. Special co-host tonight, actually special host. She's gonna run the show tonight. She's been given the keys to the caddy, and she's gonna rock it on out for the rest of the evening. I'm just gonna sit here and look stupid, and that's
I,
okay.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
Oh, come on, you've hung out with us many times. So everybody knows Taylor Nobile. She's a Division One hot shoe. She's got Super Street, Super Gas, recently Super Comp in her sister's car, or the family car, actually. And she is a graduate, if you will, of the NHRA Division One Junior Dragster program, as well as her sister Tori is also.
Yep.
So I approached Taylor a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, I want to do this, interview this wonderful young lady that will be on in just a sec here, and talk about junior drag racing stuff." Now, the cool thing for you, Victoria, is that Taylor is also very good at marketing herself and her sister's car and her aunt's A-Field dragster. She does an awesome job with it. Looking at your page, young lady, was incredibly impressive for how young you are.
thank you.
Your whole program in general, your Facebook, your web page. And so I thought it would be really cool to have you guys chat for a little while today. So with that being said, our guest this evening is Victoria Beener, junior drag racer, and our host for the evening, Miss Taylor Nobile, Mrs. Taylor Nobile, excuse me.
So I guess I could start off by asking you, how did you get your start in junior drag racing?
So I had the opportunity whenever I was around 6 that I could get in a junior dragster. And at the time, the rules were that I couldn't get in it that early. I had to wait until I was 7. Well, the good part was that my birthday was only a couple weeks away. So we went down to our local Immokalee Regional Raceway one night and watched some test and tune. And I found that it was really fun there, and I really enjoyed watching them. And I could only imagine what it was like to race one. So we waited until my birthday. We got the cars ready, and we went out one Friday night and tested. That was very fun. I knew as soon as I strapped in, that's what I wanted to do, like for the rest of my life. I was set on it. And then, I guess you can say I had some beginner's luck. The first race I ever ran, I won, and that was here at Immokalee, and that's still my, let's say, home track. That's our closest one, and that's really the one where I started.
That's awesome. So you got your start in juniors. Do you come from a line of racers, or were you the first one? Like, did you go to the track and see these and say you wanted to do it and that was it?
I'm not the first racer in my family. My grandfather and my dad both raced. They did dirt track and like going in the circles. So my grandfather kind of dabbled in a little bit of drag racing, but not much. So I'm kind of almost the first in drag racing.
So with me, I'm actually a third generation driver. So both my grandparents have raced. My parents met at the racetrack. I have all my cousins on my mother's side who race and or are in the motorsports like of NHRA of some sorts. My cousin does PR for Top Fuel and stuff. So she's in it on that side and the rest of them race. My sister races, my husband races, my daughter is 3.5 years away from doing it too. So I came from a family of racing, but I think it's always cool to see someone who is not directly involved in the NHRA, PDRA, whatever you could say, get into it. So that's really cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris, do you have any questions off that?
I, I'm sorry, what? Go ahead,
I
Taylor.
said, do you have any questions off of that?
Oh, yeah. So now, do you run just NHRA, just PDRA, or do you kind of bounce back and forth between the two of them?
So I used to run a lot of NHRA, and then last year I went to the PDRA just to try it out, and I fell in love with their entire program. The Franklins have an amazing program going on, and I started racing that, and we kept racing that. And then this year we went back to them. I do run some local races, but mostly they're out of state, up in North Carolina. That may not be with PDRA and may not be with NHRA. So I really stick to PDRA and then trying to hit some races in between.
Very cool.
I
Now,
ran I ran
go ahead,
one
Tara.
I ran two races with PDRA, and I can say that the Franklins and Tyler, they all put on a great program. I know that when we went, I think it was my last year, so I was 17, but they make the juniors feel like a professional category as if you were a pro mod racer there, unlike, not to knock on NHRA, but you as a junior driver, as a super street driver, any sportsman category, you are not the cool thing on the block, but PDRA makes it as if everybody is on the same playing field. So I really liked that about PDRA.
Yeah, they make every class, like even down to the top juniors, when they're,
Yeah.
they make them feel like they're pro nitrous, kind of like that in a way, where
Yeah.
they include you almost in everything. Like they'll put you on flyers, not only the fast cars and the big cars.
Yeah, I agree. I like that part about it.
Mhm.
Now, what class do you run in juniors? Like with NHRA, they have the help me out with this, Taylor.
It's just 6 to 11 and 11 and up, I think, is our breakdown.
Okay.
Yeah, so in PDRA we have two classes. We have top junior and then we have pro junior. Top junior goes from 1190 to 890, which I'm pretty sure PDRA is 9 years to, it may even be 8 years to 10 years. And then you have the 890 class, which is also included in the top junior, that goes from 10 to 12. So these past 2 years I've been running the top class, and I just turned 13 about a week ago. So now I can go and run the pro class, which goes 790.
And this year you were leading the points for a while, right? And then you had a surgery. Do you want to talk about that? So just so people know?
Yeah, so last year, for points wise, I came in really close. I finished second. So this year I was determined to come back and try to win this championship. So for the past 3 years, I've been fighting something called scoliosis, which is the curvature and rotation of your spine. And long story short, I've tried braces. I went to physical therapy 2 times a week. I drove multiple hours to get like the best care. And this year, it just got to an extreme where it was starting to affect my health, like breathing. So we met with a surgeon and we decided that this year was the best year to get the surgery done. So I was leading the championship points pretty good. And if I could have hit a couple more races, I probably could have tied it up, hopefully. But I was happy I did the surgery when I did it. Right now I'm recovering. I just hit my 3 month mark. So hopefully January and February I can be back in the car. But it was really heartbreaking to give up that championship. And the last race for the championship points, I went out in the final round. So I was so close to winning that one. But my last race for the season and my 890 class was the PDRA Pro Stars. And it was really nice to pull off that win, knowing that the next day I was going in to have my halo put on, which was help pull my spine and get it ready for surgery. So the total time in the hospital was 33 days. So that wasn't fun.
Yeah, I actually, very random, but I follow these people on TikTok who had that same surgery and they like showed their progress with it. And then randomly you came across my page and I was like, oh, that's so crazy. And then I follow PDRA just like they post like the end weekend results or whatever on Facebook. So I follow that and I saw that you had a crazy lead. And I can't imagine that was extra kind of a bummer that you had to end on you were killing it. You were doing really good. I don't
Yeah,
have any experience with having to I got pregnant for a year, so I couldn't race in that year, and that stunk. So I can't imagine leading your class and having that. So, but your health is more important than racing.
and that's what we decided, as a family, that this was the best time. And we wanted to wait till Pro Stars. My surgeon was like, we're going to push it, but it'll be fine to wait right until then, because it was getting so bad that I really needed to go in. But he let me wait off, and I was really happy I did, because it was really nice to end my 890 career and, finish off the season with a win.
Yeah, at least you can go into winter and recovery with a little bit of a trophy in your hand, and you can
Yeah.
look at that and know that you can come back next year.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, so Victoria, tell us a little bit about your race car.
So I drive a Mike Bosch chassis junior dragster with Nick Woods motors. I've used Nick Woods for quite a few years, and from my first car, I've used Mike Bosch chassis. And some people don't really know what a junior dragster is. Now, the viewers probably do, but it's almost like a smaller version of a top fuel dragster that goes a lot slower than that and is a lot smaller.
Now, are you an odd duck at school because you're a female and you're a female racer on top of that? Your friends kind of go, I'm sorry, you do what?
So this is kind of the nice thing. I do online with Liberty University Online Academy. So I work completely from online from home, and that helps flex between the race schedule. And if I have to leave early, I can work ahead. So most of my friends are at the racetrack, so they do basically the same thing I do.
Fair enough. Fair
Well,
enough.
that's very nice because that's not how my school experiences went. I was always the one that was, oh, Taylor can't come do this because she has to go race. She can't come to this. And then eventually you just stop getting invited places because people are so annoyed that you keep saying that you're going racing.
Yeah, I went to school for about 3 years. And then during COVID, that's when, even before then, we were deciding to go online. But then with COVID, I really liked going online and I could help my parents with their business and then I could work on the race cars. So ever since then, I just went online with Liberty and I love their program and it's made it super easy to like go in between race schedules and it's very nice.
Yeah, and if you're a person who can like stick to a schedule and get work done, I know with my college this was a couple years ago, but we went all online and my professors couldn't believe that I finished the class in like 2 months time, but I would just work ahead until it was done. And it does make it really nice for traveling and all of that because as a racer, you're always go, go, go.
Exactly. You're always moving, doing something.
Yeah.
Now, did I hear you correctly? You said a university?
Yes, sir.
All right, you got to explain this one to me.
So
You're how
Liberty
old again? 13 or 14?
13. So
13,
yes.
and you go to university.
So Liberty University, the college, has their own K through 12 program that my parents found, and I tried that for a year. And after that year, I fell in love. So they have their K through 12 program, but yes, I do go to Liberty University.
Very cool. That's
I'll have to
awesome.
get,
I've
I'll have to
never
get
heard
some,
of that.
I'll have to get some information on this because my
I knew
daughter,
that was coming.
my daughter were I don't know if we're gonna have time for school all that much. So we're literally starting a preschool with her in the fall. And I looked at my schedule and my husband's schedule, and he's running Mountain Motor Pro Stock this year again. And literally every week in September, he's like, we're just gonna have to go from race to race. And I'm like, great. So Riley's preschool is gonna start in October. She'll be the weird kid that comes in a month late, and here's Riley. So
Yeah.
I have to look into that when she gets a little older.
Yeah, I love their program and they understand that if you're behind, they don't worry about it. Just they understand what I do and they know that I'm just trying to work ahead.
That's nice. Switching gears, I have a question. So obviously at 13 years old, well, you just turned 13, but you're still 13. It's very hard to market yourself as a junior driver. There's not much media attention, meaning like TV coverage and stuff. So how did you get so good at getting into the marketing side of racing? Because honestly, I've come to learn that that's the most important thing is marketing yourself to all these companies. So do you have like a story on how you started doing that?
So I first started social media. I honestly don't know, but it was quite a while ago. And we really just started to, post photos and things. And then I remember we weren't too consistent on it. So then as I was getting better in my career, we really started to look into social media because that's where you can make a lot of money and work on it. So my parents helped me like really push it and they would help do posts and help do things. And then after a while I started getting followers and then I would have that one video that would go a million views that would bring in 5,000 followers or more, and that's when I started to build up my followers. And then that's where a lot of sponsors and companies look is your social media. So we knew that was very important, but it was those several videos that would just take off that would get me a lot of followers. And then people kind of, you wouldn't think they're interested in a junior dragster, but you have to make it interesting. So a lot of people find what I do interesting. As you can see, I have my Herco machine right behind me. I'm starting to work on that. Those are different crowds. You have machinists and then you have racers. So we just started to do a lot of different things like that. And then it kind of just took off from there.
Very cool.
That is impressive.
Thank you.
Well, not to name drop at all, but Taylor has a good friend that has made a few laps in junior dragsters, and you might have heard of this particular person. So Taylor, why don't you kind of share a little bit about your friend that raced junior dragsters?
I have a lot of friends that race junior dragsters.
You
I
know who I'm talking about.
back to the well, I can like elaborate to this a little bit. Back to like the friends and stuff. So when growing up, you look up to professional drivers, but I do think it's cool. Like you said, you can look up to junior drivers too, as well. So racing has brought me so many different friends. And Chris is talking about Erica Enders, someone like her. I married Vincent Nobile, so that's another professional driver. And it's crazy how much I told my mom this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, you know what? It's so cool. I used to sit on the fence and look up to all of these people, and then you realize they're just the average person, just like us. I know you have a relationship with Antron Brown, I think, through your sponsors. Like you do a lot of stuff with him. And kids think that's like amazing. And now you bring in those fans who are like, oh, look, Victoria has a relationship with Antron Brown. Like that's so cool. And then you get those people to start following you. So I think
Yeah,
building even your friendships at the racetrack, your marketing relationships at the racetrack, it all goes hand in hand with each other. And it's really, really cool.
that's one thing that my parents told me was relationships are key because they know that throughout their businesses. So, that's where, as you were saying with Antron Brown, I got, his followers see, oh, who's that? Victoria. And then my followers say, hey, that's Antron Brown. So I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. That's very important,
Yeah.
especially in,
I actually think that I somehow started following you through him. Like I
uh,
think I saw you shared Hangstifers you guys both have, right?
yes,
So I know Matt Sackman, we've raced together, so like I know all that, and I think like eventually it just brought me to your page somehow through like every just connections and tagged photos and stuff like that. So it really is important even in your friendships to make these relationships, and you never know, one friend gives you this sponsor and now you could be somewhere totally different off of relationships and partnerships that you make.
exactly.
My first ever sponsor is Josh Hart. He runs Top Fuel now, but I tell everybody this story because I think it's amazing. We were at a lobster dinner at the racetrack in Epping, New Hampshire, and his team didn't know how to cut a lobster up, like to like use the tools and stuff. I didn't really either, but I went over there. I was friendly. We joked around, and that's how I got my now almost 6 year sponsorship with Josh Hart, was over that. So like, not saying that that always is the case over something silly, but something so silly has made me be able to travel the country and follow my dreams off of just a little nice conversation.
Over lobsters.
Yeah, over lobsters, which is the craziest thing ever. It's my best and easiest sponsorship I've ever gotten.
I know whenever you eat lobsters, you think about that.
Yeah, exactly. I do. Or look at them, I
Yeah.
immediately go back to that point in time.
The cool thing is, since I've known Taylor and her sister for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years it's been now. Um, how did you when you meet these celebrities, and like you even said, Victoria, you realize once you actually get a chance to talk to them that they're just average people. They're
Exactly.
not, holier than thou and everything. They just, they want to sit there, they want to tell you about their race car. They want to explain to you how things work, and they talk to you, which is very important, I've noticed.
And that's like with Antron, you think like he's a celebrity and he is, but whenever you really sit down and talk to him, he is just a normal, funny guy that will tell you tips and tricks in anything, whether it's cutting lobsters or whether it's talking about driving down the track. He's just an amazing guy. And that's where it's same as Erica Enders, she really gives you like that inspiration. And at first the first time I ever met her, I was so scared to talk to her. And then as, I got to know her sister Courtney, you just realize they're normal people like you that give you so much inspiration and guidance.
Yeah, I think it's cool with Erica too. Like you have her as the driver, and Courtney has her own thing going in the PDRA world with Flow Racing and stuff. So all these things start from junior dragster racing. Like all of them got their start I mean, most of them, not all of them, but now Antron has his kids in it. Now his oldest is running big money bracket races. So all of this funnels through junior racing. And I always tell my parents, I can't thank them enough for putting me in this because it's the best sport ever. And you learn how to be a really good kid, just like you are. You're doing really good with your life. You're way ahead of the average 13-year-old. And it sets you up for success in your future too, not just in drag racing.
Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people just look at the top fuel or pro mod, whatever you're running, and think that. But you really have to trickle down, and junior dragsters is the future of drag racing. If you don't have that, you really don't have anything, because you
Yeah.
can't just jump in a car and race it. You have to get that experience.
Yeah, it's very hard to pull racers that have not ran juniors or had parents who were into racing. Like, we don't get that. Most of our clientele of junior racing are parents and grandparents all getting their future generation involved. So it's really cool.
One of the questions I asked somebody once that we interviewed, do you notice a difference in Taylor? You'd be a shining example for this question. The average kid versus a kid who's brought up at the racetrack. Do you notice the difference in them? I mean, you kind of answered it, but they're definitely two opposing personalities, I guess.
Yeah, well, and another thing too, like in high school, kids are into drugs and alcohol and partying. And I had absolutely no interest in that because I wanted to be at the racetrack. And I always say this, that you learn how to lose. You don't get a participation trophy in juniors. And I don't think you should. Like, not everyone deserves to be a winner. Like, you have to earn that win. And Victoria, you kind of started off not in a good way because you won. You could only go down from your first ever race. Me, it took me a long time to win. So you really respect that win. On your hand, you got the best and then you went down, but now you're back up again.
Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of people don't realize is that in any type of racing sport, really, you learn how to lose. Not everybody's a winner. You learn how to lose. That's what my parents tell me. Whenever I lose, I may be disappointed, but I look, what can I do better? What can I learn from that? And that's where I had, I think, a good 6 months where I had no races. Like, I won no races. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get it right. I just had to find that. And once you hit that click, you learn from there. But it's not like you're just going to keep winning all the time. You're going to lose, whether it's on your fault or the car or the crew chief. But from that, you learn what to do better the next time.
Yeah, I agree. It's really important. And this generation of, not knocking the generation of parents that we're in, but like I see it with my daughter, it they don't act the same as a racer does. They say, "Oh, it's okay. Like, you're having a bad day." Like, "No, let's go. Let's learn how to fix it. Let's learn from the day." I don't know. I feel like drag racers have a different style of parenting. The kids are different and it's good. I feel like it actually teaches you how to be successful in this world.
Yeah, racing in general, whenever I started in the Legends cars, that was kind of the same thing. If you lose, you're going to go back and rewatch the race, see where you can brake more, hit the gas. And that's where it's the same thing. Mostly racing is where you're going to be like, you lost, got to do better next time, got to learn from it. Not, oh, it's okay, you'll get it next time. And that's good to have that confidence.
Yeah.
You have to have it where I'm going to do better next time. That was my fault, or that was the car's fault. You got to know that too.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I had a very bad year. This year, my car was broke almost actually, it was the entire year. And I only got to race like 3 races and just another year of how to lose and how to not have a good year and keep your head up and hope for the best next year.
Yeah, and that's where, like, last year I had a lot of motor failures, and that's where I lost that championship because one time I didn't qualify. And I get that right there, like, where your car wasn't working. That was a lot of last year too for me.
Well, we should have a different year next year because this year was not good. I don't want any more issues next year, and I'm sure you don't either.
No.
Well, you
Nope.
replaced almost everything, so your truck is like brand new now, anyways.
Well, we should be good now. We are completely fixed. Victoria, you wouldn't know this, but my car had a vibration that felt like the wheels were gonna fall off.
Oh.
And We changed every single thing in the car, and it took till the last, not even the last race, just a couple weeks ago, they finally found out that somehow the angle of my motor and transmission needed to be changed, even though nothing changed over the winter. And it created its mind of its own, and now we have it fixed. But it took a full year, 1,000 hours for my poor husband and father-in-law and everybody else extended to figure this out. So I get it.
That's another thing in racing. It's always the small little things
Yeah.
that are the problem. It's never one thing.
No.
It's all small little ones, and it may be several at one time.
Yeah, like we were hoping that motor was just going to fall out at one point and that was going to be our problem, but nothing ever fell out and nothing ever presented itself until the end.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to pay Taylor a compliment that when you mention her name in Super Street, there's a whole lot of people, including world champs and multi-time divisional champs that run that convertible.
Keith.
You know who I mean?
Yeah, Keith.
That do not want to go up against her because she is a killer when she's on, and she's a killer when she's not 100% on. Said there's nobody in Super Street that wants to up here in our area that wants to go up against her.
That's
Thank
a good reason to have.
Yeah, I don't have that confidence, but I need to get some back.
I
So
get
I
that.
have another question for you. Speaking about like the future, do you have any future plans? Like what do you, or any ideas on what you want to do after you age out of juniors?
So I know throughout my entire life I'm going to be in motorsports. That's kind of a given now. So whether I'm doing social media or I'm the car owner, team owner, I'd most likely rather be the driver.
Yeah.
But right now I'm going into the circle track world. I've done some legend cars. I'm right now I'm actually getting into a winged micro sprint next year with Carber Racing. So I'm kind of getting into different types of racing. I don't know what my future holds. We'll kind of see how it plays out. Now, if I was to sit in drag racing, my main goal would probably be like a pro stock or a pro mod, something around there. But, you never know. I may go to NASCAR in the circle track. I'll see how it plays out right now. I just know that I'll be in some sort of motorsports industry.
Well, you're young. You have plenty of time to decide what you're going to do. Just off of right this second, do you like the circle track stuff or junior racing? Just say the two things you've done. What do you think you like better? Or do they each bring their own?
So I get that question all the time, and it's really hard because I've been in drag racing so long. I love that, but I've been in the circle track only for a little bit. And a lot of people probably think, oh, it's because you're trying something new, but I love the circle track. For me, there's more excitement in it. In drag racing, you try to hit your light, 8 seconds for me or 7 seconds, it's over. Or in the circle track, you have 25 laps, anything could go wrong, cars could wreck, you could spin out. There's more, I would say, excitement in circle track, and it lasts a little bit longer. You don't press a pedal, you lift off, you're done. So I would say I'd like the circle track a little bit better, but there's parts of it that I don't like. Then there's parts of the drag racing I like and don't like.
I'm going to throw you a recommendation. Go to the other side of your state the last weekend of January and check out the Rolex 24 weekend.
Okay.
I'm a huge endurance racing fan, and I also have a friend that races in the MX5 series. A young lady by the name of Sally Mott. She's actually not much older than you. She's a professional road racer.
Wow.
Yep.
I'll look that up. Thank you.
I'm a huge. I love to go to Sebring. I love to go to Daytona for the Rolex 24. Those are my favorite races of the year. So
I feel
entirely off subject. Sorry.
feel like there's more opportunity in the circle track world than there is in the NHRA, IHRA, PDRA side of things, just coming from a media standpoint. They seem way more involved, way more sponsors get involved with them. I don't know what the difference is because I've never done it, but I just noticed from afar that they're way better at media and marketing than us.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pit drag racing or circle track. And that's where I don't want to be known as a circle track driver or a drag racer. I want to be known as a race car driver where I can drive, I can hop in something and do multiple things. And then I could get out and go straight, or I could get in and go road course. So as my future plays out, we'll see. Like I said, maybe NASCAR, maybe NHRA, maybe Pro Mod. I don't know.
Pro Mod, you're brave. That scares me. I am a baby. I do not want to go faster than Super Comp Racing, and I'll say it over and over again. I've had opportunities to go alcohol racing with the intention of maybe Top Fuel. I just straight up say absolutely not. I actually had a car pretty much built for me for Top Alcohol Dragster, and I chickened out because I am a little baby. And now that I have a little baby, I'm extra of a little baby.
See, that's the thing with me. I love going fast, but at the same time, you have that little bit of that little voice saying, please don't go fast.
Yeah.
So as soon as like I get in a car, I'll start out slow, like in the circle track, I go a little bit faster, I think, than my junior dragster. And then I always start out slow. And then as I pick up speed, I'm like, I like going faster. And then that's
Yeah.
where I that like 100 for speed, like where I want to go faster and pick up speed.
Well, that's
Very
cool, and
cool.
it'll get you further in life than me because I have zero need for speed, and my husband has to pick all these classes like Mountain Motor Pro Stock to race, and I am petrified. So you'll never see me anywhere past super comp racing.
What would you do, Taylor, if Vincent walks in the door one night and you see the truck and the trailer out in the yard and he goes, hey, guess what I bought?
If
And it's
it's
a
a
pro mod.
Yeah, goodbye. I already told him that is the one class I will. I love him more than anything in this world, but my heart cannot handle pro mod, and we'd have to be divorced because I couldn't watch him. I'm just kidding. We wouldn't divorce, but we'd come close to it. I told him, and he knows this. The one class I never want him to drive is pro mod, but he doesn't he doesn't have a need for speed. It's very odd. He runs Mountain Motor Pro Stock. He's ran Pro Stock, but that's all he's ever raced. He went from juniors to Pro Stock. And he ran juniors like 4 times in his life. So he doesn't have a need for speed, but I guess he does in a way. I don't know. He's a very odd duck in that department because he doesn't like going fast, but he's always been in a fast race car.
He's very comfortable with it.
Yeah, the Pro Stock car doesn't scare me. I'd rather him run NHRA Pro Stock than Mountain Motor Pro Stock because those cars are mini pro mods.
Right, right. Very cool. All right, so I have one last question for you, Victoria. I've asked this to Taylor, and I think I still laughed for about a week after she answered it. At the racetrack, what is the most embarrassing moment you have ever had? That is, you could say on the air and not get in trouble with your parents.
Oh, okay. This isn't bad, but for me, it was very embarrassing. So earlier this year, I was at National Trail, and you know how if you don't stage, it's kind of embarrassing. You pre-stage and then the timer counts down. To be honest, I really don't have any embarrassing times at the track. I stay in my RV. I'm in there. I'm a homebody to that. So I'm not out much, but it was just earlier this year, and you would think you'd be better. You know how to stage, and the track wasn't sticky, but I got timed out, and I had no clue what to do. I'm just sitting there because I haven't done it in forever. I don't even think I've ever done it once. So I'm just sitting there, and the other car goes, and I can't see. Like I'm looking around, like what do I do? And then the other guy goes, and my dad goes, "Did you not know to go?" I'm like, "No," because I don't think I've ever before. And like I said, that isn't really embarrassing, but to me, that was very embarrassing because I've been in junior dragsters, I think, for 6 years. So I
Right.
should by then.
Yeah. You should feel like you should have
You
been
had a
able to.
moment, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, all right, let's get to the good stuff. Tell us about the people that support your program.
So the main ones are my parents. I could not be anywhere where I am today without them. They've brought me up the right way. They've taught me how to work on stuff, not to give up. And that's where I've gone a lot of my inspiration from is from my dad and my mom. They are not quitters, so they've taught me not to quit. But sponsorship wise, I have a bunch of good people behind me. Just to name a few, I have like Hank Super's Lubricants, Herco Companies, I have SB Tools, Mechanics Wear, and those are just a few. And there's so many more that'll come in the future, but those are some that are behind me 24/7 and that are always there if I need anything.
Cool. Awesome. Taylor, anything to wrap up?
Nope. It was great talking to you and getting to meet you more than just seeing your Facebook posts.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Victoria, thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. It was awesome to talk with you. And when does your season start?
So I'll start testing the car hopefully middle of January, but for PDRA, our season starts in April.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Well, listen, best of luck to you in 2025 and keep on doing what you're doing, bro, because you're killing it.
Thank you. And thank you guys for having me on.
You're very welcome.
A good night.
Thank
All right,
you.
have a great evening. All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that is Racers News Network for tonight. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And thank you especially to Taylor Nobile for being our guest co-host this evening. Victoria Beaner for being our awesome guest tonight. I highly recommend you look her up on Facebook. You see her Facebook page, and then you look at her page, her actual website. You're going to be impressed with this young lady is doing. So best of luck in 2025, and we will be back December 10th. We're taking a little bit of time off for the holidays, and best happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and take care. We'll see you on December 10th.